Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good one, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles, where today we're dialing it back a notch, taking it down to Tier 3, with Battleship Tirpitz 2345, who's going to be having some fun in the one and only British Tier 3 battleship, HMS Dreadnought. Now I'm sure most of you are aware that there isn't a huge server population at Tier 5 and below, so a lot of the spots on both teams, particularly in a Tier 3 battle, are going to be populated with bots. You can tell who's a bot because they'll have a colon in front of their name. So for example, if you look at Tirpitz's team list at the top, Galtz and Fisher, they both have colons in front of their names. They're not the only ones, but those are the bots. Don't expect too much from them. They're not tactical geniuses, but, well, this is a Tier 3 battle. There are not going to be that many tactical geniuses here. Although, you'd be surprised. And I'm not just talking about the problem of new players getting beaten to death by professional seal clubbers. There are quite a few people who do enjoy playing down at these lower tiers. And if you have HMS Dreadnought and you want to play it, you've got no choice, because it's a Tier 3 battleship. One of the other benefits of playing at Tiers 3 and 4 is that you get protected matchmaking. You don't start seeing ships 2 tiers higher than you until you reach Tier 5, which is why getting to Tier 5 can be one hell of a culture shock for a lot of players, because you're suddenly facing Nagatos, Fijis, Scharnhorsts, Hyders. And a lot of the time, you're in a Tier 5 light cruiser, and you're made out of citadels. And even if you're in a Tier 5 battleship, you only have 25mm of bow plating, so all of the Nelsons and Warspites and Nagatos and so on can overmatch your bow armour, citadel you from the front as if you didn't even have any armour there in the first place. So yeah, getting to Tier 5 can be quite rough. Down here below Tier 5, however, things are a lot more chilled. Tirpitz here, this is going to get confusing because his name's Tirpitz, but he's in the Dreadnought. Taking a casual stroll down south, and the first targets are in range. Now, ideally, you want to prioritise the actual players over the bots, because the players should be more of a threat. Oh, he's got some nasty lag spikes going on there, did you see that? That's another reason why you may want to spend some time chilling out below Tier 5, because if you suffer from a spotty internet connection like this, you really don't want to... Oh wow, that guy is so dead. Those were some good torpedoes. Shots out, and there's the first blood. But as I was saying, if you do suffer from a spotty internet connection like this, you might want to spend more time chilling down at the low tiers, where the consequences of an inopportune lag spike in a moment when you really need to act quickly is less likely to get you killed than if the same thing would have happened at high tiers, where the pace of the action tends to be a little bit quicker. Now, I was talking about target selection in these lower tier battles where the teams get their numbers filled out with bots, and you should definitely make the habit of targeting enemy players rather than bots when it's practical to do so. And what I mean by that is, if you have a choice of targets, one of them's a bot and one of them's a player, and you've got the opportunity to do some serious damage to the player, you should shoot at the player, because the player is usually going to be more dangerous. However, if it's not going to come back to bite you in the arse and you can get a kill, then go for the kill, regardless of whether it's a bot or a player. Notice the Farang over there desperately trying to get the kill on the second Jurian and completely ignoring the Campbelltown. And this is what I'm saying. As long as it's not going to bite you in the arse, because you can guarantee the Campbelltown is not shooting at the bots. And that may come back to bite the Farang player in the arse. But Jingles, Tirpitz isn't shooting at the Campbelltown either. Well, no, but like I said, if you can get a kill, it doesn't matter whether it's a bot or a player. Plus, he's in a battleship. Tier 3 battleship. Famously inaccurate, and the Campbelltown is a small target. So, like I said, as long as it's not going to come back to bite you in the arse, by all means, kill the bots. See, now he's switching to the Campbelltown, who's managed to corner himself and is shooting at the Farang, and has been for some time, while the Farang was busy fruitlessly trying to torpedo bots. Lovely. Tirpitz, obviously, knowing that he was going to have to deal with the destroyer, switched to high explosive. Hopefully the Campbelltown has an ample supply of flex tape, because that was a lot of damage. And notice how the Campbelltown is panicking, as well he should, because he's got nowhere to run. He's committing the classic, I don't know what to do, I'm about to die, press every button at once error when he's in the shit. He's trying to hide inside his smoke, but his engine boost was running, so he was going too fast to hide inside his smoke. And, well, Turbot's actually helped him out there by knocking his engine out, which you could tell by the flames coming from his turret. So he's had to slow down whether he likes it or not. And this might actually be enough to keep him alive. Oh, hang on a second. Samson's sneaking up behind us. Well, sneaking isn't the right word, he's not being too subtle about it. He's a bot. But Turbot's would do well to ensure he avoids those torpedoes, and since he can't see the Campbelltown to shoot at him, may as well shoot at the Samson. Particularly at this kind of range where even a Tier 3 battleship is likely to hit the target. And he does, of course, have high explosive loaded, and there's kill number 3. Campbelltown's back up, and instead of killing the bot Dresden with a well-aimed armor-piercing salvo, he's wasting time with torpedoes, which would have allowed him to go undetected, and denied Tirpitz the chance of getting the secondary kill, which also gave him a double strike, because he nailed him within 10 seconds of getting the Samson, so that's nice. So now that Battleship Tirpitz is no longer in any kind of immediate danger, I mean there's still plenty to shoot at, it's just all happening at extreme range for now. Let's have a quick chat about the Dreadnought itself, because it's actually a very, very important battleship. When the Dreadnought was built, it revolutionised battleship design, and in fact gave rise to an entire new class of ships called, funnily enough, Dreadnoughts. Everything that existed prior to HMS Dreadnought being launched was rendered obsolete overnight. At least battleships, not so much, cruisers and destroyers. There were two reasons for this. She was the first battleship to be powered by steam turbines, which at the time she was launched made her the fastest battleship in the world. She's certainly not fast by modern standards, she's not even fast by World War II standards, but at the time she was commissioned in 1906, this was a fast battleship. The other, and probably more important reason why she revolutionised battleship construction was that she was the first battleship to be constructed with a uniform main battery. Dreadnought was armed with 10 12-inch guns in 5 twin turrets, as well as a whole bunch of 12-pounder or 76mm secondaries. By contrast, if you look at the class of battleship that preceded the Dreadnought, the last pre-Dreadnought built by the Royal Navy, the Lord Nelson class, their main armament was, well, they didn't have a main armament. The Lord Nelsons were equipped with 2 twin 12-inch guns, 4 twin and 2 single 9.2-inch guns, 24 single 76mm guns, and 12 single 47mm guns. Aside from the logistical nightmare of having to keep these ships supplied with 5 different types of ammunition, each of which would require their own magazines and their own ammunition hoists, you've also got the practical disadvantage, because advances in gunnery technology were pushing battle ranges out to 6,000 yards, which doesn't seem like a lot today, but that was really pushing the envelope back in 1906. Plus torpedo technology was advancing, and longer range torpedoes were expected to be in service any day now, which meant that you really didn't want to be getting too close to the target, especially not if you could comfortably shoot at them from a range of 6,000 yards or less. So what was the point in having all of these intermediate gun calibers? The advantage of having these intermediate calibers was that they could fire faster than the big guns, but that introduced its own problem because the fall of shot around the target with all of these splashes, it was often difficult to tell whether or not the splashes were from the big guns or the more rapid-firing intermediate guns, which could often lead to the ridiculous situation of the smaller caliber guns having to hold their fire so that the shell splashes around the target would clear, giving the gun directors on the big guns an opportunity to actually see where their shots were falling and correct and adjust their aim, which of course completely negated the advantage of the more rapid-firing reload on those intermediate and smaller caliber guns. So what the hell was the point? Well, a bunch of navies around the world were rapidly coming to the conclusion that there wasn't really a point, and so a uniform main battery, usually of 12-inch guns, backed up by a uniform secondary battery of smaller caliber guns, was the way ahead. And the Royal Navy were not the first ones to actually start building what would become known as the Dreadnought class of battleships. The Japanese battleship Satsuma was laid down as an all-big gun battleship about 5 months before the Dreadnought. Unfortunately for Japan, they couldn't get enough 12-inch guns to complete her the way she was designed, so she ended up having as many intermediate calibers as the pre-dreadnoughts that, well, preceded her. The USS South Carolina and her sister ship, again, construction began before the construction of HMS Dreadnought, and the South Carolinas were arguably a more advanced design. All of her 12-inch guns were mounted in super-firing turrets. Oh, this is going to be a good shot. Well, it was alright. Speaking of South Carolinas, that's a player. He's going to be an issue. The super-firing turrets simply means that all of the turrets are mounted on the centre line of the ship, as you can quite clearly see, whereas if you look at the Dreadnought here, there are some turrets mounted on the wings. So the Dreadnought technically has more guns than the South Carolina, but because they're not super-firing, it can only bring 8 of them to bear on any one target at the same time. There's always going to be a wing turret that's got the rest of the ship in the way and can't shoot. So this allowed the South Carolinas to have the same effective firepower as the Dreadnought, but a considerable weight and cost savings. Unfortunately for America, the US government took their sweet time ponying up the cash for the South Carolinas, and ooh, this is going to be a kill. Come on. Oh, it's not. AP. Just the 1 over pen. Oh, dearie, dearie, dear. So he has to stay away from the destroyer, but not give broadside to the South Carolina. Oh, this is going to be tricky. He's in a tough spot here. See, the South Carolina can bring all of its guns to bear, and the South Carolina might be able to hurt him a lot more than the destroyer can. His guns are pointed that way. That is another South Carolina, but it's a bot. He's taken fire from 2 sides here. Which way do you turn? Because you can't angle against it all. Well, that South Carolina is definitely the biggest threat. So he's going bows in, but he's only got 1 turret, that wing turret on the starboard side, that can actually shoot. So that's only 2 12-inch shells. But if you hit him in the right place... and all of the other guns are still able to return fire at the other South Carolina. That was seriously lucky. That is not the kind of RNG that you should be counting on. That poor South Carolina.
Problem solved.
Well, just like the real South Carolina, a day late and $1 short, because the US government were extremely slow in ponying up the cash for its construction. It ended up only being ordered a month after the Dreadnought had launched, which is why these battleships are known as Dreadnoughts and not South Carolinas. Oh, and I don't know if you noticed it there, just in chat. The enemy South Carolina player clearly has a sense of humour. He just said, "I have been outplayed." Salute. He wasn't outplayed. But it was nice of him to say so. Well, you know, I often say, if you can't take a joke, you shouldn't be playing World of Warships. And clearly he does have a sense of humour. As, I mean, Battleship Tirpitz knows that he got really lucky there. In fact, he's about to reply to him in chat as soon as he's gotten these shots away against the bot South Carolina that looks like it's beached itself. There we go. Yeah, some decent hits. He's kind of low on health, though. He'll have a heal back up again in a few seconds. And while his guns are reloading, he's taking the opportunity to reply in chat. Any second now. There it is. Honestly, more luck than anything. Yeah, no shit. And there he is again. I was fully expecting to die there. Yeah, I was too. And I think the South Carolina was probably fully expecting him to die there as well. But, well, you know, sometimes you get lucky. So, 2 against 3. The good news is that the 2 on Battleship Tirpitz's team, himself and the Albany over there, are both players. And the 3 on the enemy team, the Von der Tann, the South Carolina, which we can't see, but is probably still stuck on the island, are bots, and the enemy team only have 1 player in the USS Charleston. Now, the Charleston's a decent ship. It's basically a premium version of the St. Louis, which is a very, very good Tier 3 protected cruiser, but that Charleston is given way too much broadside to any kind of battleship at this kind of range. He was lucky not to die instantly. I mean, let's not be too harsh. The Charleston, I believe, is a ship that you can get as a gift code for new players. So that could very well be that guy's very first game of World of Warships. The fact that he's firing armour piercing against an angled battleship does kind of support this theory. So let's not be too harsh. But he is going to die here. And there it is. Kill number 7. That just leaves the South Carolina, who is really having trouble getting off that island. Oh, lovely citadel. The South Carolina does technically have the advantage here in firepower, because it can bring all 8 of its guns to bear, something that Battleship Tirpitz definitely cannot do without exposing way too much broadside. But yeah, the South Carolina is exposing way too much broadside, so the 2 or 4 guns that he can actually bring to bear on the target are probably going to be enough. He's angled, the South Carolina isn't. The South Carolina is a bot, of course. And now it's dead, kill number 8. We haven't heard the last from the South Carolina player on the other team, though. He's about to prove that once again he definitely has a sense of humour. As HMS Dreadnought slips into the central cap here, where most of both teams have died. If the last ship on the enemy team, the Von der Tann, was a player, taking this cap would definitely be advised, because the enemy team had all 3 of the caps, and they're a good 300 points ahead. But it's not a player, it is a bot. It's about to become visible. The Von der Tann's one of the new German battlecruisers, so it's got the stealth advantage over the Dreadnought. But because it is a bot, it is going to charge towards the nearest available enemy, rather than doing the smart thing and simply trying to run the clock down. Maybe going around the other side of the island and slipping back into this cap and keeping himself alive in the process. But of course it is a bot, so you know the bot AI isn't particularly good. The developers did experiment with taking the bot AI from operations and testing it out in co-op battle, because the operations bots are way smarter than the co-op battle bots, which are the bots that fill up the team lists in these low tier games. And co-op battle win rates dropped by 20% overnight, so the developers decided that wasn't a great idea. Oh, and there's the South Carolina in chat again, proving once again that he does have a very good sense of humour. I hear it's the first 8 kills that are tough, so this one should be easy. I mean, the Von der Tann could still do him. It's a well-armed battlecruiser, so, well, yeah, probably not. It is a bot after all. Akazuki's recommending that he goes for the ram. And it would work, because, you know, the Albany's still alive, so it'd still be a win, but, well, the 2 rear turrets are about to clear their arcs, so, yeah, that works too. Kill number 9. So, a leisurely 9-kill win there for Battleship Tirpitz 2345, having some fun down in low tiers where the pressure is off, in the Tier 3 premium British battleship, HMS Dreadnought. Hope you enjoyed it, and as always, take care, stay safe, and I'll catch you next time.